Hello all. It's been a great pleasure to be invited to join you today, if only by videotape. Human resources has been one of the most important functions in the building of this company worldwide. I'd like to talk to you today about a few different areas of human resources, my beliefs and my strongest desires for the success of the human resources function over this very critical time period in Aegis growth worldwide. Human resources as a function has evolved over the last 10 to 20 years into something that is giving a great deal of pause to business professors and business schools around the world. And that is exactly where to put it. Traditionally, human resources has ended up as a staff function for the convenience of an organization chart. However, when you take a look at our business, our product is in fact people, isn't it? And human resources and the people that work within that group, yourselves, are responsible for product development if we look at it in that light. And I think that's the way we'd like to approach it. Human resources as a line function, as a mission critical function in delivering our product to our clientele throughout the world. You know, right now, by our latest count, the head count is exceeding 30,000 people worldwide. And the folks looking at this videotape right now are responsible for the stewardship, the management, the development, and the care of that very precious commodity of our product, of our people throughout the world. How does that happen? How does it achieve its greatest success? It might be good to look at the overall corporate personality. What we've built in Aegis throughout the world, and particularly here in the U.S., with which I am intimately familiar, is a culture and a clientele that describes the Aegis culture as follows, with these type of adjectives: innovative, aggressive, engaged, energized, involved, definitely fully engaged in the client's overall approach to doing their business. Important mission critical functions for our clientele throughout the world. Your responsibilities in support of this function are just paramount. They're absolutely astounding when you stand back to take pause. What do we look for? Well, the human resources professionals in this room are responsible for finding that human resource, recruiting, bringing that human resource into the fold and making that human resource productive so that we realize revenue and income from that resource and the highest quality of revenue that we can possibly realize. Training. Developing that resource, making that resource, putting that resource in a position so that key successors can be identified within the main body of the incoming human resource and perpetuate the values of the company as the company grows. Continuity, giving that human resource, giving our precious people a good impetus to stay with the company for as long a period of time as possible and to see the growth opportunities within the company worldwide. We are now operating, as you all know, not only in India and in the U.S., but in the Philippines, in Costa Rica, in Central America, in South Africa, in Kenya. We are looking at opportunities in other areas in Asia and opportunities in Europe as well as other opportunities in Canada. Amazing world that we've opened up, and the opportunities that are presented to our people are manifold. So development of key successors is something that the executive staff at Aegis is depending on the human resources professionals to provide. Also, the fact that the human resource that we deploy is again a precious commodity. It is, after all, our product. It's what we represent to our client organizations worldwide as something unique. When you stand back from it all and you elevate the perspective to the proverbial 50,000-foot level, when I take a look at our top competitors, they all have very similar technology. They all have very similar real estate. Many have similar deployment in a footprint around the world. What they don't have, what separates us from the masses, what separates us, what allows us to rise to the top, to receive all of the accolades that have been awarded to this company over the past several years is our people. The difference is definitely our people, and that's what we represent to our client population. And the clients are seeing that. The growth has been absolutely phenomenal. Just on a percentage basis here in the U.S., year-over-year growth on a revenue basis has exceeded 30%. On an income basis, we're up over 90%. Just astounding figures. And we don't charge for the technology per se. We don't charge for the building per se. We charge our clients for the people. And for the client to be motivated to pay a premium price for the product that we offer, it is all dependent on the quality of the personnel that we put out in front of the client. You've done a splendid job this far in providing us with a premier product. What I would encourage you all to do is take a look at what we're doing, how it can be improved, break away from the shackles of convention. We are, in fact, an innovative corporation. Aparup Sengupta accepted on behalf of Aegis the Innovation Award of the Year from NASSCOM for our category of business. It wasn't given idly. The case studies out there are great. We break down the barriers of convention. We're able to go out and employ heretofore unemployable standards in hiring, in recruiting, in training and development, in career pathing, in giving our people the ability to go worldwide. And that's what I'd like to perpetuate. I would encourage you to think of your organization not as a staff organization, not as an organization functioning in support of a group of line organizations, but rather as part of the line organization. Please think of yourself as product development people, among other things, as motivators, as leaders, as people that set the standard. Please think of yourself as folks that hold the rest of the organization to a higher standard. Some of us tend to get immersed so much in the day-to-day activity, we lose sight of the fact that the individuals that are on the telephones, the individuals that are processing the transactions, the group of people that are supervising those individuals, managing those individuals, directing those individuals, are in fact unique human beings, each with a personal story, each with a great sense of pride that swells as these accolades come back to us, each with the need for self-fulfillment, for enrichment and enlargement in their professional lives as well as their personal lives. When we welcome someone into the Aegis family, we welcome them with open arms, and we welcome them into a lifetime career opportunity that can stay with them, that can mold them, and can build them going forward. Enormous, enormous responsibility, but again, it's what sets Aegis apart. So the key word that I would leave you with is just the word of innovation. And within that word, please be energized, embrace the culture. The sky is the limit, the opportunities are boundless, and I think that the human resources function stands right at the core, presents the fulcrum for the lever that will elevate us all to the lofty heights that we're looking to achieve. Thanks, everybody. Really a great opportunity to speak with you, and I can only hope that the next time we get to speak, it's in person. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm really happy to be talking to you all today as part of this HR Summit. We are really excited here in Aegis Americas to be supported by an extremely talented organization such as yours. We have come a long way. If you go back a few years, we were 2,500 people strong in the Americas and doing a fraction of the revenue of what we are doing today. But just in the last year, we had added about 3,000 people to our staff, and most of that recruiting was done internally through our engine rather than having external contracting companies come and support us. Obviously, this would not have been possible without the tremendous commitment and support of the human resources and the recruiting staff of Aegis in the US. We've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. Our growth plans are very aggressive. We need to be at about $180 to $200 million of revenue in the Americas alone in the next 12 to 18 months at the most, and that means a contribution margin or operating margin of better than $50 million. That has to be done on a consistent basis with about 6,500 people. We have not until now been able to sustain that kind of people growth and numbers consistently. So we need to get there, and we need to get there and be stable at that level. What are the challenges that's stopping us from doing that on a consistent basis and keep that numbers there? Attrition is the first thing that comes to my mind. We've been struggling with it for a long time. We need to get those numbers down into the lower single digits on a monthly basis, and we've put a lot of action plans together in place for different programs. At the end of the day, obviously it's moving down slowly, but not as fast as we would like it to be. So what are the things that we can do? We've tried different hiring profile mechanisms with the programs like American Express, where we've been able to recruit a certain type of people rather than hire anybody that comes off the street. So it is obviously going to filter out the number of people that we can hire from, but at the same time, we've found, based on our experience, that those people stick with our company longer. People sticking with the company longer basically translates to lower training costs and rehiring costs and so on and so forth. So we would want to be able to duplicate that process across all of the programs in the company, even if not to that stringent a requirement, but follow the general framework and the process for the most part. The other thing that we've been struggling with for a while is the seasonal recruiting and the reduction in force that comes as a follow-up to that. Majority of our customers are healthcare industry related here in the US, and they usually require a lot more people to support their accounts in the November-December timeframes, which is the open enrollment period. Come spring, they don't need as many people, which means we go from about 2,500 people to about 5,000 people during those times, and then go down back to 2,500 within a matter of months. So it is pretty important for recruiting the right kind of people, setting expectations up front, and also managing the reductions in force. So obviously that is something that we need to do a much better job of managing, and hopefully with our sales team kicking into high gear and bringing us complementing work, which runs during the summer months, that can complement the healthcare business, that will solve all the problem. But short of that, we obviously need to make sure that we do a much better job of recruiting for the seasonal work and reduction of forces subsequently. What drives attrition? In my mind, I strongly believe that people work for people and not necessarily for the company or the name of the company or so on. So if I don't feel good that my supervisor is giving me the support that I need and make me successful in my job, I probably am going to look for a better job somewhere else. We've done a lot of satisfaction surveys in the past, and which were supported immensely by our human resources department. And what came out of it is most of the situation, people are leaving the company mainly because they don't feel supported by the supervisors that they work for, or their supervisors change every so often because of shift bids and so on. So we obviously have kicked off the ACE Silver program in an effort to make sure that the supervisors know how to manage their team. But with the launch of the ACE Blue program, where we actually prepare the people to be better supervisors, I think we're going to be taking the next step, which is very, very important for us. So doing the ACE Blue and Blue Primer, hopefully in the future, it's going to be a few steps in the right direction, and we just need to make sure that we have the full commitment and support of the entire organization to do that. And obviously, last year, as most of you might know, we dodged a big bullet with the unionization attempt in Joplin, Missouri Center. HR and operations worked tremendously together in thwarting that attempt at that point, but with the new administration here in the United States and with the Employee Free Choice Act that is being talked about, we need to make sure that the education of the unionization attempt and what this act means to our employees is done proactively, so that when there is in fact an attempt to unionize, the agents and the supervisors and everybody knows what that is all about and knows about the pros and cons of such an effort and act accordingly rather than be reactive to the whole thing. In a nutshell, if I had to summarize, I would like for the human resources organization and the recruiting organization to move from a transactional standpoint to a strategic standpoint. What I mean by that is, for now, we do a lot of things. The Human Resources Department supports us tremendously on the day-to-day aspects of things when it comes to layoffs or hiring people or rolling out a new policy, attendance policy, or whatever it may be. But I would like it to go to the next level where it's all being done a little more proactively and a strategic standpoint, where The supervisors are engaged with the agents, the managers are engaged with the supervisors. Everyone knows that this is a family effort, it is a joint effort, and we work together as a team to make sure that the two levers that pretty much dictate or control our growth, which is recruiting and attrition, are where we need to be. Make sure that our community understands Aegis as a really good place to work in, and that's going to happen by word of mouth. If more agents and more people are happy with the way that Aegis treats them, they'll go talk in the community as such, and that will help us recruit more people into the company. So if we bring in better people with better profiling and better requirement management, job previews and stuff like that, and reduce attrition on the back end with better supervisor management of the agents, I think we will get to where we need to get to at a much faster rate.
Hi friends. IT organization within Aegis is going through tremendous changes as I speak to you through this video tape. We are moving away from the traditional cost-centric model to the new revenue-generating IT organization of the future. 2009-2010 will see those changes, and I'm sure by now SK Jha would have elaborated on his vision how we are going to achieve that. To that extent, my role will be to ensure that we do this transition without any risk to the operations and the revenues that we have through the Aegis BPO services and deliveries. SK will inherit a big IT team. I'm sure the HR team in this building today is all ears in terms of what those plans are going to be, how are we going to transition to that new organization, how are we going to take care of our existing people, how are we going to reskill them to not only position them to support the Aegis BPO piece, but the clients that we'll be taking on from the external world. We will be going to different geographies, different countries, different platforms. We will need to now pay attention to the different human-related skills that are so often neglected in the IT organization when you are completely an in-house team. We need to look and work on their listening skills, to their articulation skills, to their communication skills, to how are we going to present our services to the future clients, how do we give them the confidence in terms of project management, how are we going to manage those sponsors in the client organization. So the paradigm has just shifted, the goalposts have moved. We want to now focus on building that organization which will have more demanding goals and objectives from HR perspective, which are going to be in the global context of the services that we are getting into. I would like to take this opportunity to thank SM and his entire HR team. I think this is a great platform to come together and plan at the beginning of the year. I'm sure 2009-2010 will unfold different challenges for HR and IT teams, and I sincerely hope that I will be there present in person next year in this very room, and if not this room, this particular event, to share my thoughts and look back at 2009-2010 as a very successful year from HR perspective. Thank you.
HR and PR, human resources and public relations, I feel go really hand in hand. Human Resources Department is an organization that really manages our most important assets, which are our people. Managing shifting perceptions among new and diverse talents, attracting and retaining ideal candidates, managing bad HR news and making it actually positive is where I think HR can really help. When our people walk in and clock in, and by the time they clock out, is where I feel HR can really help change and manage the perceptions of what Aegis can actually do for them. Once they walk out is where I think my role starts in public relations, where I have to now manage what the external views of Aegis is, or what their perceptions of Aegis is. We all want to become, and we all strive to become, the employer of choice. How do we do that? How can HR help us do that? HR can actually help in doing continuous improvements, constant hiring, retaining people, training people, and giving them good education so that we are really not perceived as employer of choice, but we actually are employer of choice. HR and PR, I think, are partners in diversity. HR helps set the tone, policies, and the work environment in which our people can really thrive and do well. And I really feel that where HR stops, that's where PR picks up. And bridging the gap between where I feel the people perceive something and actually feel it. Most of our centers are in smaller cities and smaller communities. The only single thread or the sutras that tie all these centers together is what I think HR is. We have a single handbook, we have a single logo, we have a single branding. And I really feel that HR is where they strive to feel and that they are part of an organization. All these centers and all the HR managers in these centers are our frontline people. This is where they walk in and meet our HR people, and this is the last place when they leave, they meet the HR people. So I just really feel that HR is so important to making sure that our people feel comfortable, they know where they are working, they know what they are working for, and this is where I feel HR can help. I really feel where HR is doing a fantastic job internally. It makes my job easier externally, because now I don't have to write out what I want the perception to be. Word of mouth, where our people walk out and talk about Aegis, invite people to come work with Aegis, bring in more really great talent, because they really believe in Aegis now. It makes my job much easier. To sum it all up, HR and PR are partners in diversity and strength. I really thank them for being present at all times, hiring and retaining great people that we can all work with. So thank you so much for your time.